The desert moon of Sharon 7 was dead. No birds, no wind, not even the hum of machines. Just sand and silence. Jace moved slowly across the cracked ground, his boots crunching with each step. He was a scavenger, a human soldier who no longer had a war to fight. Now he searched old places for scraps, old tech or anything valuable. His scanner beeped. He stopped and looked down. Beneath his feet something was buried. A hatch, covered in sand. It was rusted, old, and locked, but not empty. Jace knelt down, brushed the dust away, and pressed a button on his wrist. A small cutting torch lit up. He worked carefully. The metal groaned, then popped open with a loud snap. A gust of cold air rushed out. Not normal. Something was sealed down there. He climbed, down the ladder, flashlight in hand. It smelled like chemicals and old blood. His boots touched metal. He was in a hallway, narrow, dark, and broken. Symbols glowed faintly on the walls, not human, alien, and old. He stepped forward, one careful foot at a time. His light swept across the floor, wires, smashed screens, empty pods. This was a lab. Jace had heard stories about these places, secret alien labs that tried to copy human DNA. After the war, they were banned. Most were destroyed, but some just vanished. He kept moving. Then he saw it. A single pod, still sealed. Not broken, not empty. Frost covered the glass. His flashlight flickered. Something moved inside. Then, a hand slammed against the glass. 5 fingers. Small. Shaking. Jace jumped back, then froze. A voice came from inside. Weak. Soft. But clear. "Let me out, human. Please." He didn't speak. Didn't move. Just stared. The voice came again, louder. "Please. I'm not like them. I'm awake. I'm alive." He stepped closer, his heart pounding. The girl inside looked young. Maybe 16, maybe younger. Her skin had a soft blue glow. Her hair floated silver and thin like mist. Her eyes opened, violet and bright. She looked scared. Really scared. Jace whispered, "What are you?" She shook her head. "Not what. Who? I'm Lina. I was made wrong." He frowned. "Wrong. How?" "My DNA," she said, voice shaking, "is part human. That's why they locked me away." He looked around. All the other pods were empty, broken. Wires pulled out. Marks on the walls. Like something terrible happened here. "Why should I trust you?" Jace asked. Lina's voice cracked. "Because if you don't, they'll find me. They'll find you too." "Who's they?" "The Vethkai," she whispered. "They were the ones who made me. Now they want me dead." Jace didn't like that name. He remembered the war. He remembered what the Vethkai did to Earth's colonies. They didn't take prisoners. They burned cities. He looked at the control panel. It was alien tech. He didn't understand half of it. But one button blinked red. He reached out to touch. Lina screamed, "No, not that one. It kills the pod. Look for the green mark, bottom left." He hesitated, then found the button she meant. A small green mark hidden under dust. He pressed it. The pod hissed. Steam poured out. Lights blinked. Lina fell forward into his arms, weak and cold. She looked up at him, her breath shaking. "You shouldn't have done that." "Why?" "Because now they know I'm awake." Jace looked around. Everything felt too quiet. Then, a sound came from above. Not thunder. Not wind. A ship. He grabbed his rifle and looked up the ladder. Red light flashed across the sky. Shadows moved through the clouds. He turned back to Lina. "Can you walk?" She nodded slowly. "Good," he said, "because we need to run." As they climbed out, the hatch behind them slammed shut and locked itself. In the sky, a black dot grew, larger, a ship, sleek, silver, and silent. Lina whispered. It's them. Jace didn't wait. He pulled her close and ran. Behind them, the ship opened fire. Lasers tore into the sand. The ground exploded, but Jace didn't look back. He only heard the voice in his head repeating again and again, "Let me out, human." And now she was out, and now the galaxy would come for them both. The desert wind howled behind them as Jace dragged Lina through the broken rocks and dead cliffs. The sky above burned red where the Vethkai ship passed, scanning the surface. It moved like a hungry shark, slow and searching, ready to strike. Jace's lungs burned, but he didn't stop. He didn't look back. Lina's skin was cold in his arms, and her breathing was shallow. She was light, too light, like something made in a lab, not born in a home. Her body glowed faintly in the dusk, and every time he glanced down at her, he saw a girl who looked more human than alien. And yet not quite either. They reached the cave just as the first drone scanned their path. Jace dove in, landing hard on the stone floor, pulling Lina close to the wall. He held his breath as the scanner passed overhead, its red light sweeping past the rocks. The moment it faded, he exhaled and looked at the girl lying next to him. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded weakly. "I think so, but we don't have much time. They'll bring more." "Then tell me the truth," he said, voice low but sharp. "Who are you really?" Her eyes opened fully now, wide, deep, and strange. "My name is Lina. I was created in a lab deep under the Vethkai Empire. They used stolen human DNA, mixed it with their own, to make something new, something that could survive both worlds." "Hybrid?" Jace asked. "Yes," she said, "but it was illegal. After the war, the Council banned any experiments like me. They called us unstable, dangerous, monsters." Jace studied her face. She didn't look like a monster. She looked scared, like a kid pulled out of a nightmare. "How many like you?" he asked. "There were 12, Lina said quietly. "The others, they didn't last. Some died in the pods, others went mad. I was the only one who stayed sane. So they locked me up, called me a failure, but I heard them talk. They were afraid of me, not because I was broken, but because I worked." Her voice shook and she looked down at her hands. "They said I could unlock old human tech, things they couldn't control. I'm a key, Jace, not a person." "You're a person to me," he said simply. "And if they're coming, we'll deal with it." Lina looked up, her lips trembling. "You don't understand. I was made with a specific strain of human DNA, one that belonged to your command bloodline." Jace's heart stopped for a second. "What do you mean?" "Your name. Jace Ronan. Your family fought in the final battles of the war. They had access to something ancient, something the aliens feared. Their blood carried control codes." Jace frowned. "That's just old war myths." "Not myths," she whispered. "Real. They used your bloodline to build a master override, a way to shut down any human weapon if it fell into the wrong hands. But now, with my DNA, I can access it." He leaned back against the rock wall, trying to take it in. "So they kept you alive, because you're the only living key to all that?" She nodded. "And now they want me dead, before someone like you figures it out." Outside, the wind shifted. A sharp whine cut through the air, the sound of a ship landing. Then came the heavy crunch of armored feet on stone. Jace stood up fast. "We can't stay here." Lina tried to rise, but her legs buckled. "I need iron," she said weakly. "Real earth iron. It helps stabilize me. The lab gave me doses every day. Without it, I'm breaking down." "Earth is gone," Jace said. "Not completely," she replied. "There are fragments, old ships, maybe even vaults. If we find one, I can hold together." Jace helped her to her feet. "Then we head for the canyon ridge. I crashed an old freighter there 5 years ago. It was human-made. Maybe there's still something inside." "And if there's not?" she asked. "Then we fight," he said. Lina gave a small, tired smile. "You're not like the others." Jace didn't answer. He just tightened his grip on her shoulder and led the way out. As they left the cave, Jace activated his cloak field. It shimmered around them, hiding them from host scans, but not for long. The Vethkai had better tech now. They were faster, smarter, but they weren't human. And right now, Jace was angry enough to remind them what that meant. In the distance, the night sky lit up again. The Vethkai dreadnought moved into orbit. It had come for one reason. Because Lena existed. Because she shouldn't. But now she did, and Jace was willing to burn the stars before he let them take her again. The old canyon stretched out before them like a giant scar in the earth. Sharp rocks jutted up like broken teeth, and narrow paths twisted through the shadows. Jace moved fast, holding Lena up with one arm and gripping his pulse pistol in the other. Above them, the sky was no longer blue. It was black, broken by the glow of a silent hunter, the Vethkai dreadnought circling like a vulture waiting for something to die. They reached the edge of the cliff, where rusted metal bones poked through the ground. This was the grave of his old ship, the Grey Widow, a human freighter-turned-fighter that had once saved his life. He never thought he'd return to it, and he never thought he'd need it to save someone else. Down there, Jace said, pointing to a rusted ramp hidden under collapsed stone. Ship's buried, but she's still got power. Maybe. Lena was breathing hard. Her skin shimmered with a strange blue light, brighter now, pulsing like a heartbeat. Jace could feel the heat from her skin through his jacket. Something inside her was changing. Maybe the human DNA. Maybe the alien side. Or maybe both. They reached the old ramp, and Jace kicked a broken panel aside. Inside, it was dark and silent. The walls were scorched from battle and wires hung like vines. Jace moved quickly, guiding her to the cockpit. Dust covered everything, but when he sat in the pilot seat and flipped the main switch, the console blinked once, then twice, then hummed to life. "She still remembers me," Jace said, almost smiling. Lena looked around. "It feels familiar." "It should," he replied. "It's old human tech. Your DNA probably talks to it." He accessed the ship's medbay logs. The auto-injector still held one sealed vial of pure earth iron. Not much, but maybe enough. He brought it to her, holding it carefully. "This will hurt." "It always does," she said softly. He pressed the injector to her neck. The hiss was sharp. She flinched, then gasped as her body trembled. Her eyes glowed for a moment, and then the color returned to her cheeks. The shaking stopped. "Better?" Jace asked. "For now," she said. "But they're close. I can feel them." He didn't ask how. Maybe part of her was tuned to the Vethkai, a leftover piece of whatever made her a weapon. Jace powered up the engines. The Grey Widow groaned like an old beast waking from deep sleep. Outside, the ground rumbled. Scanners lit up. 3 incoming ships, small but fast. Vethkai raiders. "Hang on," Jace said. The ship lifted slowly, engines coughing through dust and time. As they broke through the surface, Jace felt his stomach drop. The sky was full of movement. Not just 3 ships, at least 10, maybe more. "They really want you," he muttered. Lena stood behind him, steady now, eyes fixed on the stars. "It's not just me. They want what's inside me, and if they get it, they'll control every ship made with human tech, every vault, every command system. So, everything," Jace said. She nodded. "Even the hidden fleets." His fingers tightened around the controls. "Those fleets are myths." "They're not," she whispered. "And I'm the key." The Grey Widow shot through the clouds, dodging laser fire. Jace rolled the ship sideways, slipping between 2 enemy fighters. He opened fire, engines screaming. One raider burst into flame. Another clipped their wing. Alarms screamed. "Hold together, girl," Jace said to the ship. "Who?" Lena asked. "Me or the freighter?" "Both." They broke into open space, the moon shrinking behind them. But the dreadnought still hung above. Waiting. Watching. We can't outrun it, Jace said. Not in this. We don't have to, Lina replied. Just reach the graveyard. Graveyard? Sector 9A, she said. The place where the last colony ships went dark. Old broken ships. But some may still have Earth tech, maybe even a vault. Jace stared at her. You've been there? Not me, she said. But the memories they put inside me have. He didn't understand that, and he didn't like it. But he had no choice. Plotting course, he said. The ship jolted as something struck the hull. Lina stumbled. They've locked on, Jace cursed. We're not going to make it unless we lose them. Lina closed her eyes. Give me control of the signal array. What for? Trust me. He switched it. Lina placed her hand on the panel. Suddenly, strange symbols filled the screen. Not human, not alien. Something in between. Then, silence. The enemy ships suddenly slowed, hesitated. Two turned away. What did you do? Jace asked. I sent a false beacon, she said. Told them I'm already captured. Bought us time. He looked at her, surprised. Clever. I'm not just a key, she said. I'm also a virus. They drifted into deep space. Behind them, the Vethkai regrouped. Ahead of them, stars shimmered. And somewhere in the dark, broken ships waited, full of secrets. Jace looked at her again. This girl, this strange, glowing, half-human being, was at the center of something massive, and he had just thrown himself straight into it. The graveyard was not a place of peace. It was a drifting field of metal ghosts, a sea of dead human colony ships that stretched across the edge of a forgotten solar system. No beacons, no heat, no signs of life. Just silence and shadow. It was where dreams came to rot. Hulks of ships floated like frozen bones torn by time, war, and vacuum. Jace had heard about this place in old war stories. Always whispered, never confirmed. People said this was where the first human fleet vanished. Not destroyed, not defeated, but sealed and abandoned when the stars turned cold. Now he was flying straight into it. We're here, Lina said quietly, her eyes fixed on the screen. Jace piloted the Grey Widow between the broken titans. Some were massive, once cities with engines, now just drifting shells. Others were smaller, twisted and open like torn animal carcasses. Lights flickered on a few, barely, like dying fireflies. But one ship caught his eye. It was bigger than the rest, shaped like a blade half buried inside an asteroid. Unlike the others, its hull wasn't shattered. Its surface was scorched but whole. Ancient writing, long worn by time, still glowed faintly along its spine. Lina touched the console. Her voice was almost a whisper. That one, that's the Nova Sanctum, last flagship before the silence. You've seen it before? Jace asked. Not with my eyes, she said, but inside me. The memories remember. Jace brought the ship close. The docking bay was shut, but Lina placed her hand on the screen again. Symbols lit up. A low rumble passed through the Grey Widow's walls. Then, the massive doors of the flagship creaked open, like a slumbering giant awakening after centuries. They landed inside the cold hangar. Jace stepped out first, rifle in hand. The air was dry, recycled by ancient systems still working against all odds. The hangar was dark except for the pale blue lights lining the floor. Lina followed behind, her footsteps silent. Her glow was stronger now. The ship seemed to respond to her. As they moved deeper, walls lit up one by one as if recognizing something. The deeper they went, the more Jace felt it. The sense of being watched. Not by people, but by the ship itself. It was like the machine had a soul, and it had just opened its eyes. They reached the command chamber. Massive doors parted with a deep groan. Inside, the bridge was clean, untouched by time. The captain's chair stood at the center, surrounded by dark monitors and a dormant command core. Jace approached it, unsure. Try it, Lina said. He hesitated, then sat. Instantly, the room reacted. A low hum filled the air. Screens flickered to life. The ship's AI spoke, its voice calm and old. Command DNA match detected. "Welcome, Captain Jace Ronan. Fleet protocol awaiting instructions." Jace stared in disbelief. "This thing really remembers me." "Your blood," Lina said. "It's part of the override sequence. They built it into the ships. Only your family line can wake them," the AI continued. "Additional key detected. Hybrid signature confirmed. Initializing dual authority protocol." Lina stepped beside him, and the room lit up even brighter. "We could bring it all back," she said, softly. "Not just this ship, the whole fleet. They're here calm sleeping." Jace looked at the screen. Hundreds of old human ships blinked back into existence, each one tagged with a green signal. He felt his chest tighten. He never believed in the lost fleet, but it was real, and it was waiting. Before he could speak, alarms blared. "Warning. Enemy signature detected. Vethkai dreadnought approaching." Jace cursed under his breath. "They followed us," Lina nodded. "They want me. They won't stop." He stood and walked toward the activation panel. "Can we launch the ship?" The AI responded. "Engines functional. Weapons online. But power core is unstable. Requires synchronization." "With what?" he asked. "With me," Lina said. Jace turned to her sharply. "What do you mean?" "This ship was designed to connect to human DNA," she said. "But my DNA bridges both. I can sync it, stabilize the power. But if I do, I'll be trapped inside the core. I won't survive." Jace stared at her. "No, we find another way." Lina smiled, but it was a sad smile. "There's no time. If we activate the Nova Sanctum, it will wake the others. A chain reaction. The whole fleet. It's our only chance." He shook his head. "You don't get to die for this." "Jace," she said gently, "you already saved me. Now let me return it." Before he could stop her, she placed her palm on the central console. Her glow flared. The core beneath the floor pulsed with light. Pain crossed her face, but she stayed still. "Energy stabilization in progress," the AI announced. "Launch systems primed. Awakening protocol spreading." Outside, in the darkness, lights flickered across the graveyard. One by one, old ships lit up, red turning to blue. Forgotten titans, warships, carriers, cruisers, all waking. Jace gripped the console, his voice rough. "Aye. Stop the link." "Denied. Synchronization locked. Do you wish to activate full fleet?" Jace looked at Lina. Her body trembled. Her skin shimmered like starlight. Tears rolled down her cheeks, glowing as they fell. "Do it," she whispered. Jace slammed his fist on the button. Full activation. Now. Outside, the stars came alive with the vengeance of the forgotten, and inside the ship, the girl who shouldn't exist became the spark that lit the fires of war once more. The Nova Sanctum burned with power. Engines that had not roared in over 100 years lit up like suns, shaking dust from metal that had slept through generations. The command lights flashed across Jace's face as he stared into the sea of screens. One by one, signals poured in. Fleet activation codes, ship logs, war status alerts. Human ships were waking all around the system, forgotten, abandoned, broken, now alive again. All because of her, Lina was still standing by the core. Her body shimmered like glass filled with starlight, but she looked tired. Too tired. Every second the system pulled from her, she grew weaker. Jace could see it in her eyes. The light behind them was dimming. The AI spoke, calm and cold. "Fleet initializing. Dreadnought detected. Enemy will reach this location in 5 minutes. Weapons hot. Shields at 67%. Jace turned toward Lina. "We need to get you out of there, now." She shook her head slowly. "I can't. If I break the connection now, the fleet dies again. All of it." He stepped forward, fists clenched. "You said the connection would kill you." "I know," she said, and for the first time she smiled. Not with sadness, but with something else. Peace. But at least it'll matter. Jace hated that smile. It reminded him of old soldiers, people who had given up on life because they had no more to live for. But Lina wasn't like them. She was just a girl who never had a choice to begin with. No, he said, voice low. There has to be another way. The AI interrupted again. Incoming message, ancient frequency, coded human distress beacon. Recorded over 80 years ago. Playing transmission. A crackling sound filled the command deck. Then a voice, broken, full of static but human. This is Captain Darius Ronan of the vessel Revenant. We're initiating final fallback. Nova Sanctum, if you hear this, God help you. We failed, they're coming. Fleet is compromised. Last protocol, remember. Don't forget who we were. The message ended. Silence returned. Jace's chest felt heavy. Darius Ronan. That name, his grandfather's brother. A man lost to the war. His body was never found. Now he knew why. The fleet hadn't just fallen. It had been silenced. Jace turned back to the screen. A new signal appeared. A pulse. Not from the Vethkai. Not from any of the awakened ships. It was coming from deep space. Lina gasped, her eyes fluttering. They heard it, the Revenant, it's moving. What's the Revenant? Jace asked. A ghost, she whispered. The last of the old command fleet. It went dark during the war. Never found. Its AI went rogue. But if it's waking now, it means the final war protocol is starting. Outside the Nova Sanctum, the stars were shifting. Dozens of ships had formed a loose circle around them, some huge, some no more than shuttles, all with weapons online. Ready. But none of them moved. They were waiting. Jace looked at the map. The Vethkai dreadnought was minutes away, tearing through space. It had already destroyed 3 of the reactivated human cruisers. The old ships were strong but not smart, not fast. Lina coughed hard. Her knees buckled. Jace rushed to catch her. Her skin was cold. Her pulse, thin. You're fading, he said. It's the price, she murmured. I was never made to last. I'm not even real, Jace. I'm a tool, a spark, a key. No, he said firmly. You're more than that. She looked at him, eyes soft. Then prove it. He carried her to the medbay, laid her on the table, and searched the logs. The ship's vault still held a few preserved human samples, locked behind encryption, not usable, unless... He rushed back to the command center. AI, he said. What's the chance of transferring her core code into the vault sample? Dangerous. Success rate 11%. Chance of memory loss 90%. Chance of survival unknown. Do it anyway, Jace said. Authorization? He placed his hand on the panel. Ronan bloodline, override code Delta 9. The AI paused. Accepted. Transferring consciousness core. Back in the medbay, lights lit up around Lina. Her body arched once, then went still. For a terrifying moment, Jace thought she was gone. Then she opened her eyes. Blank. Empty. She blinked, then focused on him. Jace? His breath caught. You remember? A long pause. Then she nodded slowly. I remember enough. The AI returned. Fleet ready. Nova Sanctum leading formation. Revenant approaching. Shall we engage? Jace turned toward the window. The stars outside were no longer quiet. He saw it then. A ship larger than any he had seen before, black and gold, shaped like a blade cutting through space. The Revenant. Its engines lit with fire. It carried no flag. Only silence. The dreadnought came into view, roaring with power. Jace pressed the command button. Engage! And as the Nova Sanctum fired its first salvo, the fleet of the Forgotten moved as one. Humanity's ghosts, lit by the light of a girl who had once begged to be let out of a pod. Now she was leading a war. Space lit up with fire. Lasers ripped through the dark, crossing between stars like red lightning. The Nova Sanctum led the charge, its engines screaming as it cut forward through the black, firing blast after blast at the Vethkai dreadnought. The human fleet, once shattered and sleeping, moved in tight formation. Their hulls were old, their paint faded, but their power was undeniable. This wasn't just a counterattack, this was something else, something ancient. It was vengeance. It was memory turned into steel. Jace stood at the center of it all, his hand gripped tight on the command console. Lights danced across his face, reflecting the chaos unfolding beyond the glass. His voice had grown sharp, focused. The AI answered every word he spoke like a loyal soldier. But his thoughts were with Lina. She sat in the chair, beside him, pale but awake. Her skin no longer glowed as brightly, and her voice was softer now, more human than before. The transfer had changed her, saved her. But something was missing. The way she looked at him now, it was like staring through a fog. She remembered his name, his face, pieces, but not all. "Does it hurt?" he asked her quietly, between enemy strikes. "No," she said after a long pause, "but it feels like someone else dreamed my life, and now I'm walking through it." He wanted to say something to give her comfort, but there wasn't time. The dreadnought was too close now. It had activated its main weapon, a sphere of energy gathering beneath its hull. If it fired, the Nova Sanctum wouldn't survive. Not even the whole fleet might survive. The AI warned, enemy preparing to discharge antimatter beam. Impact in 75 seconds. Target their beam core, Jace ordered. All ships converge fire on that point. Missiles launched, rail cannons fired. Plasma arcs seared the dreadnought's belly. It shook but didn't break. Its shields held strong. Then came the voice. A broadcast, cutting into every frequency, even the Nova Sanctum's bridge. "This is Commander Zelther of the Vethkai Authority. Surrender the hybrid, or be destroyed with her." The voice was deep, cold, and cruel. Every word dripped with power and hate. Jace narrowed his eyes. Mute him. But Lina raised her hand. "Wait." He looked at her. She stood slowly, walked toward the console, and pressed the comm button herself. Her voice was steady. "Clear. You call me hybrid," she said, "but you made me. You locked me away. You called me broken, and now you fear what I've become." There was silence for a moment. Then Zelther's voice returned. "You are not meant to exist. You are an error, a danger to every code in the Kau galaxy." "No," she said. "I am a warning, and this is your last one." She ended the transmission, turned to Jace. Her eyes had cleared. "They built me with pieces of you," she said. "But it was you who showed me how to fight." He nodded once. Jace said. "Reroute the Nova Sanctum's main core. Give it to her. Confirmed command core linked with secondary pilot." Lina stepped forward, placed both hands on the glowing interface. Lights pulsed across her skin again, not as wild as before, but focused, strong. The Nova Sanctum shuddered, then it surged. Every human ship responded. Formations shifted, targeting locked tighter. Movements became faster, smarter. Like Lina's mind was running through the whole fleet now, guiding every shot, every shield, every counterattack. The dreadnought opened fire. The antimatter beam launched, massive and silent like a tidal wave of death. Lina whispered. Now. The Nova Sanctum spun. Its shields bent, twisted, and caught the beam. Not fully, not perfectly, but enough. Part of the beam sliced away, skimming the outer hull. Alarms screamed, but the ship held. Barely. In return, Lina sent a command burst through the fleet. Dozens of ships answered. One after another, they launched deep-core missiles. Slow, silent, old, but deadly. The dreadnought's shields flared, then broke. Explosions tore through its hull. Fire bled into space. The last shot came from the Revenant, the old ghost ship that had stayed silent until now. It moved without orders, without sound, and pierced the dreadnought with one clean strike. From its forward cannon, the enemy ship exploded, not fast but slowly, painfully, like something ancient crumbling into dust. Jace stared at the screen, heart pounding. It was over. The AI confirmed. Vethkai dreadnought destroyed. Fleet victory confirmed. Damage reports incoming. The bridge was quiet. Then came a soft sound. Lina collapsed. Jace rushed to her, catching her in his arms. Her breath was shallow. Her skin burned with cold light. "Don't do this," he whispered. She opened her eyes just barely. "Was I enough?" He didn't answer. He just held her close. "You were everything," he whispered. Outside, the human fleet stood in silent formation, waiting for their next order. Inside, a girl who was never supposed to live had just saved them all, and somewhere in deep memory, the stars began to whisper her name. The Nova Sanctum drifted slowly through space, its engines dimming after the battle like a warrior catching its breath. Wreckage from the Vethkai dreadnought floated in the silence around it, glowing red with fading heat. Ships from the reawakened human fleet circled in calm formation, waiting for orders that never came. No more weapons fired. No more threats appeared. Only silence. And the soft hum of life returning to old machines. Inside the medbay, everything was still. Jace sat by the bed, elbows resting on his knees, hands clenched tightly. He hadn't moved in hours, not since Lina stopped breathing. The machines had tried to stabilize her. The ship's AI had used everything: cryogenic stasis, DNA repair pulses, even the last drop of iron reserves from the vault. Nothing worked. She had burned too brightly, given too much, and now she lay there, quiet, glowing only faintly like the last flicker of a dying star. Jace couldn't look away. She wasn't just another life he failed to save. She wasn't just some weapon built from war. She had smiled, laughed, argued, fought. She had been real. She had been human, and he had told her that, again and again, not with words, with choices. But maybe it hadn't been enough. The door opened behind him with a soft hiss. "Commander," said the AI, its voice lower now, gentler. "The Revenant has fully docked. The remaining ships request your guidance. They await the future." Jace didn't answer. "Also," the AI continued, "a change has been detected in the medbay readings." He turned sharply. "What kind of change?" "Unknown," the AI said, "but growing." Jace stood and stepped closer to Lina's bed. Her chest was still, her skin pale, but then, just slightly, her fingers twitched. He stared. Another twitch. Then a breath. Sharp. Sudden. Lina gasped, and her eyes opened, not brightly. Not like before, but slowly, softly, as if waking from the deepest sleep in the galaxy. Jace fell to his knees beside her. "Lina," he said, voice cracking. "Can you hear me?" She blinked. Her lips moved. "Where am I?" "You're home," he said. "You're safe." Tears ran down his face. Silent. Unstoppable. She tried to sit up. He helped her gently. Her hand gripped his sleeve. "I remember," she whispered. "The core, the fire, the ships, they listened." "They still are," Jace said. "They're all waiting, every last one." Lina looked out the nearby window where stars shone brighter than ever before. "I was supposed to die," she whispered. "You did," Jace replied, "and then you didn't." She smiled. It was tired, but real. "Maybe I'm not just a key anymore." "No," he said. "You're the lock, the door, the voice, the soul." Outside the ship, lights began to blink across the fleet. Signals, pulsing. Systems syncing. The AI returned. "The fleet awaits your joint command. Shall we proceed with revival protocol?" Jace looked at Lina. She nodded once. Together, they stepped into the bridge. Every screen lit up. Every vessel's system locked onto the Nova Sanctum. They were no longer just ships. They were a nation. An old one, forgotten, and now ready to rise again. Jace placed his hand on the console. Lina placed hers beside his. The AI confirmed, Human command code confirmed. Hybrid override confirmed. Leadership established. Issuing signal to galactic channels. The message was simple. The fleet lives. Humanity remembers. And we are not alone anymore. Within minutes, the signal reached the outer systems. News spread like wildfire. Worlds that thought Earth was dead now knew better. Enemies who believed humans were extinct began to tremble. Allies who had given up hope lifted their heads, and somewhere in the dark others began to listen. Jace looked at Lina. She wasn't glowing now. Not like before, but her eyes. Those eyes still burned with something fierce. Not alien. Not weapon. Something older. Something human. Fire. And with her beside him, the fleet began its slow, powerful journey back into the stars.